My dear friends, have you ever stood near someone and felt an unexplainable darkness, a chill deeper than the cold? Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and sensed something beyond this world staring back? Let me tell you today, evil is. The battle between light and darkness is not some ancient tale or distant myth. It is here. It is now. My friend, if you're not careful, if you're not watchful, the enemy will draw closer than you ever imagined. But how do we know? How do we see the signs before it's too late? Let me share with you two undeniable warnings that darkness is near. There are those who walk among us not to build, but to destroy. They bring shadows that consume everything in their path. Their presence is like a storm, leaving behind wrecked lives, shattered friendships, and broken families. Wherever they go, suffering follows not by accident but by intention. You've seen them before. Perhaps you've known someone who seemed to thrive on destruction, who found joy in chaos and pain. You might not have recognized it at first because they don't always reveal themselves openly. They may smile, speak kindly, or even extend what seems like help. But watch closely, for their true nature will always surface in time. They cannot help but tear down what is good. They see a happy family, and instead of celebrating, seek to divide. They whisper lies, create tension, and plant seeds of doubt between husband and wife, parent and child, brother and sister. Once that doubt takes root, they step back and watch as the walls crumble. They don't need to lift a hand to destroy a home. They only need to speak carefully chosen words to poison hearts. In friendships, they do the same. They are the ones who create suspicion where there was trust, encouraging betrayal and taking pleasure in turning friends against each other. They say one thing to one person and something entirely different to another. And soon, what was solid becomes nothing but shattered pieces. They don't need to shout or fight. They only need to introduce doubt, letting human nature do the rest. But it doesn't stop there. These people, these forces of destruction, thrive in places of influence, in workplaces, schools, and churches. They move like a silent plague, despising harmony and unity. They spread rumors, twist conversations, and find any way to turn one against another. Before long, thriving communities become battlefields. They seek not only to harm individuals, but to corrupt entire groups and systems. They infiltrate places where hope should flourish, doing everything they can to turn that hope into despair. They replace peace with unrest and watch as those around them fall into conflict. They do this not because they're misunderstood or victims of circumstance, but because destruction fuels them. If you think for a moment that they're unaware of their impact, think again. They know exactly what they're doing. You won't see them grieve for the pain they cause. You'll see them satisfied. They'll claim it was all a misunderstanding, but the pattern never changes. No matter where they go, destruction follows in their wake. Some may argue that these people are simply troubled souls acting out of their own pain. While it's true that broken people can break others, there's something deeper at work here, a force moving through them, a darkness whispering in their ears, guiding them on their path of ruin. This is not merely human weakness, it is something far more sinister. You may have encountered one of these individuals and felt the shift in the air when they entered a room. You may have sensed the weight, the heaviness that seemed to accompany them. Perhaps you ignored it, telling yourself you were imagining things. But deep down, something inside you knew. You knew they didn't bring life but death, chaos instead of peace. Yet, despite all the pain they cause, they don't always face consequences. They know how to move unnoticed, blending in, waiting. The background, planting seeds of ruin and letting time do the rest. They operate in whispers, in small actions that seem insignificant at first, but grow into something much larger. They don't rage openly like wildfire. They burn slowly, methodically, leaving devastation often unrecognized until it's too late. They are patient, waiting for the right moment to strike with precision. Those who fall victim to their destruction are often left questioning everything, wondering how it happened, how they never saw it coming. They wonder if they were the problem, the ones who caused the ruin. But the truth is, these agents of destruction know how to manipulate, deceive, and make you question reality itself. They never take responsibility for the ruin they bring. Instead, they blame you, making you feel as if it was your fault, twisting the story until they appear as the victim and you as the villain. If you're not vigilant, you'll believe them. Let me tell you something. Their destruction is not accidental. It is intentional. It is part of a greater darkness that has existed since the beginning of time. A darkness that seeks to consume, corrupt, and destroy everything good in this world. They do not build, they tear down. They do not create, they ruin. They do not love, they manipulate. They do not bring peace, they bring war. If you've encountered someone like this, if you've felt the weight of their destruction in your life, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know that the battle between good and evil is not just an idea. It is real, and it is happening all around us. There are those who do not simply lie. They twist the very nature of truth itself. They take what is good and make it seem evil, what is righteous and make it appear corrupt, what is pure and stain it with deception. And they do it not by accident, but with careful intent. Their goal is not merely to deceive, but to reshape reality to serve their darkness. You may have encountered them before. They are the ones who speak with confidence, wrapping their words in just enough truth to make the lie undetectable. They don't tell outright falsehoods. That would be too obvious. Instead, they distort, twist, and shift, taking a piece of truth and stretching it into something unrecognizable. Before you know it, what was once clear becomes muddied. What was obvious becomes uncertain. These people do not just lie to others. They lie to themselves, convincing themselves that wrong is right, that darkness is light. They live in deception so deeply that they no longer recognize the difference. In doing so, they drag others into their web of confusion. They manipulate words, twist meanings, and create illusions that make it nearly impossible to discern what is real and what is not. They'll claim honesty, swear they only seek truth. But if you listen closely and watch their actions rather than just their words, you'll see the contradiction. They say one thing and do another, promise integrity while working in shadows, claim to seek justice while sowing injustice. Beneath their masks of righteousness, their hearts are filled with deceit. They are not always easy to recognize. Sometimes they speak with authority, and their words sound convincing. They present themselves as wise, knowledgeable, trustworthy, positioning themselves as leaders, teachers, and guides. Because of this, many fall under their influence, believing their words without question, unaware they're being led away from truth rather than toward it. They use words as weapons, not to enlighten but to confuse. They know how to make you doubt what you once knew to be true, question your judgment, experience, and even your conscience. Once that doubt takes hold, they gain power over you, making you dependent on them for understanding, clarity, and reality itself. It doesn't stop with individuals. These deceivers work on a grand scale, influencing society, shaping cultures, and manipulating entire generations. They change definitions, rewrite history, and reconstruct morality to fit their desires. They convince the world that what was once wrong is now right. What was shameful is now honorable. They take absolutes and turn them into uncertainties, clarity into confusion. They do this not by accident but by design. Once truth becomes distorted, flexible, or a matter of opinion rather than reality, anything is possible. They justify any action, excuse wrongdoing, rationalize evil, and the world, having lost its anchor, drifts further into chaos. They don't just deceive, they redefine. They take fundamental truths and reshape them into something unrecognizable. They claim fairness is oppression, morality is hatred, justice is cruelty. They create new narratives, standards, and rules designed to serve their interests. Those who refuse to conform to their version of truth are silenced, ridiculed, or cast aside. They cannot tolerate real truth because real truth exposes their deception, revealing the corruption underneath. So they fight against it, dismissing it as outdated, irrelevant, or dangerous. They attack those who stand for truth, labeling them extreme, intolerant, or wrong. They seek to erase truth entirely so only their version remains. And they are persuasive. They know how to appeal to emotions, making lies seem compassionate and deception noble. They don't just convince people to accept lies, they make them embrace them, turning people against truth so completely that they begin to hate it, fight against it, reject it as if it were the enemy. They thrive in gray areas, in places where certainty has been replaced with debate. They love confusion because confusion weakens conviction. A person who is unsure, constantly questioning, no longer knowing what to believe is easy to control, and control is their ultimate goal. They distort truth in ways that seem small at first. A little exaggeration here, a slight omission there, a subtle shift in language or meaning. Over time, those small distortions add up until the original truth is nowhere to be found. Because the change happens gradually, people don't even realize what has been lost. They take what is sacred and make it ordinary, what is honorable and make it shameful, what is strong and make it weak. They do it in such a way that before long, even those who once knew the truth begin to accept the lie. They don't need to shout their deception from rooftops or force it upon the world. They simply plant the seeds and let time do the rest. They introduce an idea, a new perspective, a reinterpretation, and let it spread, take root, and grow. By the time the truth is completely lost, no one even remembers it was once different. Those who try to speak out, warn others, or bring truth back into the light are met with resistance. They are silenced, ignored, or cast aside. The world no longer wants to hear the truth once it has grown comfortable living in the lie. And so, the deception continues. They don't just spread lies, they create a world where truth no longer matters, where everything is subjective, where nothing is certain, where each person can create their own version of reality. Once that happens, once truth is no longer fixed, there is no limit to the destruction that follows. My friend, if you see these signs, do not ignore them, do not explain them away. There is a war for your soul, and you must stand on the side of light. Will you choose truth? Will you choose righteousness? Or will you allow darkness to take root in your life? The choice is yours. But remember, the enemy never stops. He never rests, and neither should you.